Terrence here. I have 5.5 buckets of compost that I have not been able to get to because the ground has been so frozen. My compost has been so frozen and so snow covered.
Root Healthy Plants.
Terrence here with Root Healthy Plants. It's been a while since I put out a video. I'll give you a little look right here, panning around. Yeah, we still got snow on the ground. The snow has been kicking our behind. Yeah, still plenty of snow. And right back here, yeah, we're gonna have a lot growing on back here this year. There's a lot of trees, shrubs, fruit, and vegetables that's gonna be growing on here. Right now, we have more compost to get to. My compost has been frozen inside the buckets that I have not been able to get the compost out of the buckets to even get in my compost bin so that I can mix it around and prep for the season. I'm gonna start dumping these buckets of food scraps that I've been waiting to dump in my compost bin. But one of the factors that we have with making compost is we definitely need carbon, especially in the winter. In the fall, I decided to collect a bunch of leaves because I know that in the winter months and going into the spring and summer, I'm not gonna have access to so much dead stuff, the leaves, the dead pine needles. So I like to collect a lot of that stuff when I have the opportunity so that I have things to balance out my compost. So I have a big bag of compressed leaves in this bag right here that I'm gonna use to balance out these 5.5 buckets of food waste that I'm gonna throw in the compost. So I'll give you a look at what that looks like. My compost bin right here is almost full. I'm gonna add to it, and then come maybe like mid-April, late April, I'm gonna start taking this compost out and putting it in the beds of the backyard food forest and my front yard food forest on where I plan on growing at. I'll give you a look at what that looks like as I do this in the colder months, just so you can get an idea. So right here, you can see what my compost bin is looking like. You can see it's about 3/4 of the way full, and we still have snow on top of here. But as you can tell, we have a nice bed of leaves. I like to cover my compost bins with a nice layer of leaves just to protect everything else and protect the animals from smelling and wanting to get in here because there's fresh food on top. So I like to keep it covered with dead stuff. But we're gonna fill this compost bin before we start working on making a new compost bin. I have 4 of these eco bins and they're all going to get filled this upcoming growing season. So I wanna make sure we optimize space. So let's get started. So right here, we have the freshest of the food scraps and it's going in. This is not too much right now, so no need to really balance it out just yet. And a lot of people don't like to add seeds into their compost, which you can see right here, there's plenty of cantaloupe seeds right there. I like to add seeds in my compost because I get a ton of volunteers. So I can be real intentional and tedious and take out every seed and not have to worry about things popping up everywhere, but I like to get volunteers and I like to let nature take its course. So things will grow and produce where they grow best. So in some places where they might start and they don't produce, I know the soil might not be ready or things might need to be added in that area. And areas where the seeds go and they start and they produce full healthy fruit and vegetables, I know that this was an area that's really fertile and is ready for me to grow in. All right. Next bucket coming in, and these are 5-gallon buckets. Lots of coffee in here. This is why you see a lot of the dark brown stuff. There's plenty of orange peels, carrots, cantaloupe scraps, onion peels, a lot of that stuff. And I have no idea if I'm going to be able to turn much of this, which is why I have the bags of leaves. So a lot of this is really still frozen under here. Oh man, yeah, I probably can't even get a foot in there that's going to move around to mix in with this. Next week, we're expecting 70-degree temperatures, so we'll be about 40 degrees warmer next week than we are today. So things will be able to move around. But right now, this is not moving a whole lot. So I'll be having to balance this out with leaves that I've been saving from the fall. But I'll balance it as I go, so it's not too hard to balance it at the end. I don't want to make my job harder than it has to be. But just mixing it around, getting the food scraps all dirty with the leaves and the dirt and what looks like dirt, and the compost and stuff that's already broken down. I just want to get all that nice and muddied up, nice and dirty, nice and wet looking. And being that there's still snow on the ground and my hose is turned off because I don't want my water lines freezing up. So if I want, because compost needs to be moist, I can just throw some snow in here to keep everything nice and moist. So I'll just throw snow in there. So we got a little bit of snow in there. And as the snow melts, as time moves on, it's going to keep some of this compost nice and wet and moist. And that's what we want. All right, time for another bucket. There we go. As you start looking at older buckets of compost, it's not going to look as nice or appealing, which it shouldn't anyways, because you're not eating this right away. So this is going to go into the ground. It's going to provide nutrients. So don't worry about what it looks like right now. We're just worrying about balancing this out here. And this is balanced enough. It's not smelling super foul. There's a lot of leaves here, a lot of carbon, but we want to make sure we keep a mixture of about 3 parts carbon to 1 part nitrogen. The carbon is the dead stuff, the leaves, the pine needles that have been falling from the trees. And the nitrogen is the food scraps. So about 3 parts carbon, 1 part nitrogen. This is 1 of 3 left. Nice. Okay, let's mix this in. Okay. Maybe 1 more bucket. We're definitely going to need to add some leaves. I'm starting to smell some of this stuff, even though it's super cold out. It is what it is. And just a lot of stuff that just needs to be broken down and composted. Nothing goes to waste. We run a 0 waste here at Root Healthy Plants. But yeah, 1 more bucket. We're definitely gonna need to add some leaves here. All right, time to bust open this bag of leaves here. And see some of these leaves that I've been saving up. Big bag of leaves right here. Oh yeah, plenty of fresh carbon to balance this out. And you see how this almost fills it up, but it's gonna go down when it mixes in with that nitrogen that's under here. So it's gonna go down, it's gonna settle. Don't worry about it. We just want balance. So this stuff breaks down really good. Scrape some of that off there. It's clogging up my forks here. Maybe I'll use the top. There we go. Looks like we got some cabbage, all types of stuff in here. Corn husks, all types of stuff. Yeah. And remember, we're going to end this off with a nice layer of leaves on top. So it's time to add that next bucket in, and we're done. There we go. Some limes, some pears, lots of coffee grinds. Do not let your food scraps go to waste. Come on now, this is food. It's going to end up in the garden. This is what's going to feed your next crops. You know, if you like, look, corn on the cob. If you like free food, you should be doing this. This is a no-brainer. I was talking to one of my buddies that lives in North Carolina, and his ground is like filled with mostly sand. He was sending me pictures of his backyard and where he wants to grow, and it's mostly sand. I'm like, hey buddy, you're gonna need a lot of organic material to grow stuff. It was just too much sand. And I was just like, oh man, he's gonna have a hard time. He ordered some worms, tried to bring in some worms to help break down whatever compost he is producing, but he's just not producing nowhere near as much compost that he needs to add all that organic material to thin out so much sand, because it's like, his ground looks like it's like 90% sand. I was like, man, whew, you're gonna need a lot of compost, a lot of organic material, whether you gotta go buy some garden soil, I don't know, bro. But yeah, it's not looking good for him right now. I'm like, this stuff right here is gonna be gold. This is gold for growing. It's not easy. I'm not trying to make it seem like this is easy. But once you get a hold of it, you understand what you need to do. Start incorporating all that organic material. Don't fight against nature. You know, you want to grow along with nature. You're going to take your losses. But, you know, at the end, it's worth it. But you just need to pay attention, keen observation. I learned a lot since I started growing. It's been about a 6-year journey now. 7-year journey. It's been about a 6 or 7 year journey now for me. And I've learned a lot. And this comes like clockwork to me now. I feel so confident. I could eyeball everything. I don't need to YouTube, Google, search, go to a book. You know, for the most part, I know how to grow for basic things that I want to grow. I got fruit trees coming this year. I got fruit trees in the ground. We got fruit shrubs in the ground. We have about 35 fruit trees. We want to have at least 50 fruit trees in the ground this year, at least. Now I'm putting a nice layer of leaves just to cover that up, so that all that stuff is covered. The worms can go in and do what they want to do. They're not exposed. Nothing's exposed. All that stuff in there is nice and covered. Good. Nice, healthy layer of leaves. And everything's going to compost really good. The worms are going to come from under the ground and come into my compost bin and start breaking that stuff down. This is really not an active compost bin, so I don't come out here and turn it every day or every couple days. This is a cold compost bin, and the worms are going to come in slowly but surely and start breaking that stuff down. But this is what's growing on right now. I do activated compost bins, but this one is not one of them. This is my cold compost bin. And that's it for today. We have a lot more fruit trees that we are planting. I just wanted to start the conversation. What are you planning on growing this season? If you haven't already started growing, what are your reservations? Let me know in the comments. Let me know what you have growing on. Terrence here with Root Healthy Plants. Let's keep it growing.